The courtroom clock clicks loud enough to feel like a taunt. Fifth delay in 8 months. Same judge, same smirk on my father's face. Judge Raymond Holloway leans back as though the bench were a leather recliner and not a seat of public trust. I'm on the petitioner's side of the probate aisle. Ava Merrick, public defender by trade, reluctant heiress by necessity. While my counsel and friend, Carla Vega, organizes our neatly tabbed exhibits that have somehow never been quite enough. Holloway's gavel taps, not to decide, only to defer. Respondent's motion for additional time is granted. His tone is clipped, administrative, as if justice were a scheduling error. We'll reconvene in 30 days. 30. As if time is free for the people who don't bill by the hour. Across from me, my father, Jonathan Merrick, partner emeritus in everything but humility, angles toward his counsel, Derek Sloan. They exchange a look I know too well, the one my father wore when he'd already gamed the outcome before anyone else showed up to play. Carla touches my sleeve, a quiet counterweight. "Breathe," she murmurs. I try, but my breath lodges where anger and grief knot together. The estate is small, my mother's savings, the little row house in northeast Portland with peeling blue paint, and the oak chest she polished every spring until the brass corners flashed like sunlight. She called it stubborn furniture, as if the chest had a will to persist. It does, and so do I. Sloan rises. Your Honor, given the irregularities we've identified in Ms. Merrick's late mother's paperwork, that is how he says it, as though my mother were an administrative burden. We maintain that further review is essential. Holloway's gaze skims us like he's proofreading. Motion granted stands. Carla is already on her feet. Objection noted for the record, Your Honor. Petitioner has provided complete medical and testamentary documentation twice over. No new grounds have been articulated. Your objection is noted, Holloway repeats, as if clerical repetition equals fairness. My father never looks directly at me until the moment he's certain I can't do anything about it. Then he does. He turns just enough to catch my eye and offer a soft, paternal smile that used to mean rides home from school and now means victory. I count to 5, then 10. Letting the numbers cool me down. Numbers I can trust, people less so. We're dismissed. Wooden pews scrape the floor as the room empties into a corridor that smells faintly of rain and polish. Portland's sky has the color of a bruise. Light comes through it anyway. Carla and I step aside to let a criminal docket spill past. My own clients sometimes stand in these very hallways looking the way I feel now. Like the rules are a set of invisible hands, steering you toward the outcome someone else already paid for. That made 4 continuances, I say. 5, Carla corrects gently, and not a single new basis for any of them. She lowers her voice. Holloway's pattern is not standard. My laugh is short and dry. Not standard is what you say when you mean rigged, but still want a license in the morning. Carla's phone buzzes. She ignores it. We keep the record clean. We keep our tempo. Today we file a memorandum rebutting irregularities, and we attach the clinic letter from St. Luke's you just obtained. I nod, grateful for her engine, ashamed of how tired I am. He's not after the money, I say. It's barely enough to cover the taxes he writes off in a weekend. She hears the rest of the sentence I don't say aloud. Then why take it? Why win again? Why pluck the last thread of dignity from a woman who rebuilt quietly? Control, Carla answers, as if reading my mother's absence the way you read a redaction line. And leverage. Sometimes the point is not the prize, but the power to move the deadline. The corridor thins. My father appears with Sloan at his shoulder, flanked by a junior associate carrying a box that looks suspiciously empty. The theater of it makes my jaw ache. Ava, my father says, warm and polished. He has always pronounced my name like a brand he chose. Grievous as this is, It's important we exercise caution. Your mother didn't always keep orderly records. I kept them for her, I say. They're orderly. A lingering amusement tips his mouth. We'll let the court decide. It hasn't, I reply. It keeps not deciding. A flicker, a tick at his temple, so small I might have imagined it. Sloane pulls him along, murmuring something about a deposition in Eugene. Power moves on a schedule. Grief waits. Carla herds me toward the stairwell instead of the elevator. Air, she says, and we climb until the building's chatter shrinks to the sound of our feet and my pulse. On the landing window, rain beads and races. One droplet wins, then another catches it, and now it's a river. I can't keep doing this, I admit softly. The delays, missing arraignments for my clients to sit here and watch nothing happen. My supervisor is counting. Carla's hand presses my shoulder. We'll adjust. I'll take point on filings. You keep your docket afloat. And Ava, I look up. Patterns leave footprints, she says. We'll find them. A courthouse door thumps below, the echo carrying up the stairwell like a muffled gavel. I picture my mother rubbing wax into the oak chest, working the cloth in patient circles, bringing out a shine no one else had time for. Stubborn furniture, stubborn daughter. 30 days, I say, tasting the number like a dare. Fine. He thinks time is his. Outside, the rain intensifies, as if the sky has chosen a side. I square my shoulders, memorizing the slope of this moment and the way resolve feels when it stops being a slogan and starts being a posture. Let's file, I tell Carla. Then I'm going home. To rest? She asks. To clean, I answer. There's an old chest I've been meaning to polish. The courthouse wind follows me home, the kind that smells of wet pavement and overripe decisions. By the time I reach my apartment, the adrenaline from the hearing has thinned into a low-grade ache behind my ribs. I hang my rain-soaked blazer on the chair where bills and case files already compete for space, then stare at the single photograph on my fridge. My mother in a thrift store apron, flour on her cheek, laughing at something I once said. The laughter doesn't echo anymore. I open my laptop to draft the follow-up memo Carla insisted on. Control the record before the record controls you. But my eyes keep sliding toward the folder labeled Estate Documents. Inside are scanned copies of my mother's will, her medical forms, and the receipt from the hospice that drained the last of her savings. My father calls these assets. I call them evidence of a life measured in invoices. Carla's voice comes through the phone before I even finish typing her name. Still upright? She asks. Define upright. I filed our objection an hour ago. Holloway's clerk logged it without comment, which tells me he read it already. He just doesn't want it on the docket yet. I drop onto the couch. So he's coordinating with my father again. Carla exhales softly. Let's not assume. Let's document. Every delay, every irregular filing, every unexplained scheduling change. Her faith in paperwork borders on religion. When we hang up, the silence crawls back. I should feel safe here, but the apartment feels borrowed, like I'm squatting in someone else's timeline. The ceiling hums with the heater's protest. I pull my mother's file box from under the coffee table. It's dented at the corner, same one she used to store recipe cards before she started labeling it legal stuff. The first document on top is her handwritten inventory of belongings. 2-bedroom townhouse, 1 oak chest, antique. Do not sell. She underlined that part twice. I traced the ink with my thumb, wondering why a woman who never underlined anything felt the need to emphasize furniture. A knock breaks the thought. Carla stands in the hall, umbrella dripping, hair frizzed into rebellion. Couldn't sleep, she says. Thought I'd bring backup coffee. You drove across town in this? I've seen your landlord's heater. Consider it an intervention. She sets 2 cups on the counter and flips open her laptop, already half in attorney mode. Your father's firm just filed a notice of intent to subpoena additional financial records. Again. They're fishing. For what? Something they think your mother hid. Or didn't disclose. Carla pauses, eyes narrowing. Ava, did she ever mention anything she refused to turn over during the divorce? I shake my head. She hated talking about it, said the court took enough without her reliving it. Carla types notes as she speaks. Then maybe there's a personal item he's trying to reclassify as joint property. He's using probate as a second bite at the apple. The term fits. My father always preferred polished metaphors to apologies. I hand her the inventory sheet. She studies the underlined phrase. The oak chest. He referenced it twice in filings as an object of sentimental value. That's unusual language for Jonathan Merrick. He doesn't do sentiment. Maybe he started. Or maybe there's something in it. The idea feels absurd and obvious at once. The chest has been sitting in my mother's townhouse since before I left for college, a relic of a quieter era. Carved roses, brass latch, the faint scent of cedar. She never let movers touch it. Carla closes her laptop. You should check it, but carefully. If he's attaching sentimental value, he'll claim ownership. You don't want to trigger a contempt motion for tampering. I can't tamper with my own inheritance. Tell that to Judge Holloway. The clock hits midnight. Rain needles the window, steady and persuasive. Carla stands. I'll file the supplemental affidavit in the morning. Get some sleep. When she leaves, I stay by the window watching the city blur beneath the storm. Somewhere downtown, my father is likely reviewing tomorrow's docket, confident his influence remains airtight. I close the file box and rest my palm on its lid. Do not sell. The words feel heavier now, less about money and more about message. My mother always spoke in quiet codes, recipes that doubled as life advice, reminders like stir slowly or wait until it thickens. Maybe this was another recipe, written for the day her daughter would need directions. I shut off the light, the city's glow filtering through the blinds like diluted courage. Tomorrow, I'll drive to her townhouse. If ghosts can guard assets, maybe they've been waiting for me to notice. The garage beneath my building hums like a held breath. Fluorescent lights buzz, turning every oil stain into a shadow with intentions. I'm halfway to my car, keys between my fingers, when my phone shivers in my pocket. Unknown number, 703 area code, Virginia. I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. Curiosity wins by a step and a half. This is Ava. A woman's voice. Low, measured. Used to being obeyed without raising itself. Ava Merrick? Yes. I'm Renee Dalka. I knew your mother years ago. I heard about the probate case. My thumb tightens around the keys. How? Old colleagues still trade news. Your mother kept her circles small, but she wasn't invisible. A pause. She's listening, as if the echo of the garage might answer back. I'm calling because there are things you need to know, and because your father will not stop until he gets what he came for. For a second, the garage grows taller, colder. You'll have to be more specific. What did he come for? The safe version, something in your mother's personal effects. The accurate version, proof. The word lands like a metal file on a glass table. Proof of what? Not over the phone. I hear a car door open on her end, the thud of it closing. Can you meet tomorrow? Noon? Somewhere quiet? Why tomorrow? I ask, stalling and probing at the same time. Because today is when they realize you won't sign their papers. Tomorrow is when they change tactics. I think of the NDA offer Derek floated. The way my father smiles when outcomes are already purchased. And who exactly are you? I served with your mother, she says. Not the resume she showed the world, the one she lived. Signals work. Patterns. Languages inside of noise. She was very good. A trace of affection threads the last sentence, then disappears. She trusted me to reach out if certain conditions were met. What conditions? You are in danger of losing more than money. The elevator dings across the garage. A couple steps out laughing, their voices bouncing across concrete. I angle toward my car door, keeping my tone flat. Where do you want to meet? Linden Street Coffee, back room, noon. Come alone. I let silence stretch, a wire between us. If you knew my mother, you know I don't take meetings with strangers who speak in ellipses. A small, approval-colored exhale. Good. Text your attorney if you must, but don't bring her. Don't bring the things you found. I haven't found anything, I say, too quickly. Then why are your hands shaking? Her question is clinical, not cruel. I stare at my fingers. They are, in fact, shaking. I unlock the car and slide into the driver's seat, shutting out the garage's empty audience. I'll consider it. You'll come, Renee says, like a weather report. One more thing. If your mother left a phrase, a code, it will begin with winter. My breath hits a snag. What do you mean? But the line is already ending. Tomorrow, noon. Click. I sit with the dead connection, the screen as blank as her final syllable. The car feels suddenly too small. I call Carla before the panic can invent its own plot. She answers on the first ring. Tell me you're still in one piece. Define one piece. I walk her through the call. Virginia area code, the name, the claim, the instruction. When I reach the part about winter, my voice hesitates all by itself. Winter what? Carla asks. She didn't say. I think of my mother's handwriting, the way she tucked meaning into margins. Do not sell. Underline twice. Carla, if this is real, we proceed like adults who want bar cards in the morning, she says. No documents on you. No originals ever leave controlled space. You give me a location and a time, and you share your live location while you're there. She told me to come alone. Alone is a setting on microwaves, not a courtroom strategy, Carla says. Then, softer. You can meet her, but text me a code if you think you're being watched. We'll pick something no one will guess. I scan the gray lane of the garage, every parked car a closed eyelid. Pick it. Say, stubborn furniture. If I get that text from you, I call 911 and come in hot. A laugh escapes, the first since court. She used to call the chest that. Of course she did. Keys click on Carla's end. Send me a photo of the coffee shop. And Ava? Yeah? Whatever this is, it started a long time ago. Don't let them make you finish it alone. When we hang up, the garage has shifted from ominous to ordinary again. The way rooms do when you remember you have exits. I back the car out and point toward daylight. The plan for today was simple. Go to my mother's townhouse, polish the lock, see what the chest gives up beneath a little pressure. Now the plan has a preface. At the light, rain skims the windshield in diagonal lines, like handwriting mapped to weather. I pull over long enough to search my mother's phone backups for any text or note with winter. Nothing. Then I check her recipe cards in my mind, the ones that doubled as instructions for living. Stir slowly. Wait until it thickens. Linden Street coffee. Noon. Come alone. I text Carla the details and set the live location timer for tomorrow. Stubborn furniture. I type under the contact name she uses when she's my lawyer and not my friend. She replies with a thumbs up and the gavel emoji, humor as armor. The rain steadies, and I merge back into traffic. If my mother left a phrase, it's waiting in wood grain and brass, in a house that still smells faintly of lemon oil and late afternoons. Tomorrow I'll meet a stranger who says she knew the woman my mother used to be. Today I'll visit the woman she was when she raised me. Quiet, exacting, and always 2 steps ahead. The next day breaks gray and tentative, Portland's usual weather for unwelcome truths. I park 2 blocks from Linden Street Coffee, just in case come alone meant someone else would come for me. Carla's location tracker is active, my phone face down on the passenger seat, a lifeline disguised as technology. Inside, the cafe smells of cardamom and burnt espresso. A barista wipes a counter already clean. The back room waits behind a half-drawn curtain. I count 3 occupied tables, 2 students, 1 man in a delivery jacket. None fit Renee Dalka. Then she appears. Mid-50s, posture that could still pass an inspection line, silver hair pulled tight enough to pass for discipline. She doesn't scan the room. She measures it. When her eyes meet mine, they don't blink. Ava Merrick, she says, not asking. Renee Delka. I shake the offered hand. Firm, dry, calibrated. She orders black coffee, no sugar, and waits until the barista retreats. Your mother and I worked together a lifetime ago. She was under another name then, Eleanor Merrick, before she left the Air Force. She told people she was a records clerk. Renee's mouth tilts. That's what we all told people. She was signals intelligence, pattern recognition, field encryption, translation of satellite intercepts. The operation was called Lantern Harbor, later shortened to Lantern. Your father and Judge Holloway were legal officers assigned to oversight. The name hits harder than the caffeine. Lantern, I repeat. Your mother never talked about it because of what happened. The project expanded surveillance beyond legal boundaries, political targets, civilian communications. When she objected, she was threatened. Your father used classified data to influence cases, to gain leverage. Holloway cleared the paper trail. I stop. Saying impossible feels childish. You're accusing them of federal crimes. I'm confirming them, Renee says evenly. Your mother documented everything and hid it. She knew he'd come after her estate to erase the record. The air between us feels metallic. Why contact me now? Because the pattern repeated. Your father's motions, Holloway's rulings, they mirror the procedure they used years ago to bury disciplinary files. I recognized it the moment I saw the docket. I glance at my phone screen. Carla's check-in bubble flashes green. Still safe. Renee slides a small envelope across the table. When you get home, look beneath the bottom panel of the oak chest. There's a mechanical catch carved into the second rose from the left. Inside, you'll find confirmation. What kind of confirmation? Photographs, journal entries, a phrase, Winter Lantern. It's a verification key we used internally. Anyone who served on the project would recognize it. I keep my hands on the table so she can see they're empty. If this is true, it could destroy careers. Her eyes soften, just barely. Your mother didn't want destruction. She wanted accountability. She believed sunlight doesn't have to burn to disinfect. Outside, a bus sighs to a stop, its brakes crying like gulls. Why trust me with this? I ask. Because you already have the same choice she did. Look away or look closer. She stands, leaving untouched coffee behind. Be careful which you choose. Both have consequences. By the time I push through the curtain, she's gone. Only the faint scent of cardamom and diesel remains. The drive to my mother's townhouse feels longer than it should. Every familiar landmark, bookstore, mural, crooked lamppost, leans towards secrecy. I park by the curb, keys steady though my pulse isn't. Inside, dust motes turn in late morning light. The chest waits under the window, roses dulled by time. I kneel, tracing each petal. The second rose from the left hides a hairline seam, one I'd never noticed. I press, hear a soft click. A section of the base slides open. Inside, a thin manila envelope bound with twine, the paper yellowed. My hands shake as I open it. Photographs first. 2 young men in military uniforms beside a bank of satellite consoles. One is unmistakably my father, grin confident, shoulders square. The other, Judge Holloway, decades younger, arms slung across Jonathan's back like brothers in arms. Beneath them lies a small leather notebook. My mother's handwriting flows across its pages, precise, analytical, haunted. June 12, 1999. Unauthorized monitoring of Senator Halpern's aide continues. Leonard and Holloway assure oversight. I no longer believe oversight exists. August 3. Civilian contractor threatened exposure. Car accident next day. Coincidence improbable. The words shimmer as my eyes sting. The phrase at the bottom of the final page. Winter Lantern verified. A sound escapes me, half laugh, half sob. The chest's secret has been patient, waiting for me to stop being afraid of what my mother already knew. I replace the envelope, lock the catch, and sit on the floor until dusk pushes through the blinds. When I finally stand, the room feels smaller, but I don't. Tomorrow, I'll call Carla. Tonight, I let the quiet confirm what Renee said. This was never about money. It was about erasure. And now, about restoration. The lantern is lit. The chest has always turned sunlight into a kind of hush. Even now, with the blinds tilted to keep the afternoon from glaring, the carved roses catch what light remains and make it patient. I pull the rug aside and slide the chest 2 inches forward, enough to kneel, not enough to feel like I'm moving a landmark. The click I learned this morning, second rose from the left, answers me again. The hidden panel releases with a sigh, and the manila envelope rests where I returned it, twine crossed like a modest X. I set the envelope on the couch and lift the lid of the main compartment, the part anyone would see if they weren't looking closely. My mother's order lives here. Stacks of recipe cards, her handwriting upright and disciplined. A blue velvet box of medals I've never seen displayed, a commendation with a small silver star, a ribbon bar whose colors I don't know how to read. Underneath, a narrow cedar tray with family photographs, the 2 of us at the coast, gulls frozen in the frame like odd punctuation, me in braces, her in a wool hat, cheeks bright with cold. Between the tray and the lined wood, a thin envelope addressed to Ava in pen that never rushed. I don't open it yet. Not because I'm afraid of what it says, but because I want to choose the order of revelations for once. The leather notebook from the hidden space is smaller than my palm, worn smooth at the edges. I lay it beside the medals and use my phone to scan 3 pages, the ones with dates that leapt at me earlier. June 12th, August 3. I don't read further. A temptation resisted is a lever you can still move later. What I do instead is inventory, the way Carla would want. Captions in the Notes app. Quick photos to anchor memory to proof. Photograph set A. 2 officers at satellite consoles. J.M. Holloway. Notebook pages 14 through 16. Targeted monitoring. Post-incident notation. Medals. See close-ups. Outer chest compartment contents. Layered. The letter with my name is light, as if it contains nothing but air that's learned to spell. I slide a butter knife under the flap to spare the paper. Inside, 3 lines. If you found this, then you're doing what I taught you, looking closely without announcing it. The things that matter are often hidden in the second place you think to check. Keep a copy of everything. Never carry the original when you can carry the truth. Mom. Beneath her signature, a small sketch of a lantern. The wick is only a suggestion. I press the page flat against my knee to steady my breathing. I put the letter back in its envelope, then choose an empty manila folder from my tote and label it in block letters. Chest, outer contents, working set. The originals go back where they were. Medals under velvet, photos under cedar, letter beneath the tray. While the working set holds only digital duplicates. The hidden envelope returns to its compartment. The panel clicks home. The roses become roses again. On the coffee table, I line up the evidence as if I'm teaching a class I wish didn't exist. A. Photographs. B. Partial journal scans. C. Physical description of medals and ribbons. D. Chain of custody note. Me, time-stamped, address noted. I hear Carla's voice in my head. If you wouldn't sign it in front of a judge, don't write it in the margin. So I don't speculate. I describe. That's the difference between theory and testimony. My phone buzzes. Carla. Tell me you're still treating the chest like it's wired to a live circuit, she says by way of greeting. I am. I made scans. I put everything back. Originals aren't traveling. I glance at the window without moving my head. The street outside remains a watercolor. Wet cars, slower pedestrians, a dog in a yellow coat unimpressed by law or rain. Good. Paper rustles on her end. I filed our supplemental memo 5 minutes ago. Holloway's clerk acknowledged receipt. I also placed a confidential inquiry with a judicial ethics contact. No details, just smoke signals. I found medals, I say, and a letter, and, and? Photographs of Jonathan and Holloway in uniform. Console equipment behind them. They look comfortable. Carla's breath catches, one sound, then steel again. Date marks? No stamps on the photos. The journal mentions dates, but I didn't read beyond the pages I scanned. I want you to see the rest first. That's restraint I wish more clients had, she says softly. Tomorrow morning, bring only the working set and your phone. Originals stay there. I'll bring a portable scanner and a blank affidavit template so we can establish provenance while it's fresh. I hesitate. Renee said a phrase, something that starts with winter. The notebook has winter lantern verified at the bottom of a page. I didn't chase it. Don't, Carla replies. Not yet. The less you interpret, the harder it is for them to claim you've contaminated the evidence with narrative. We let documents say what they say until we need to say more. Understood. Also, she adds, voice dipping into the register she uses when bad news wants an invitation. Sloan served notice of an intent to inspect personal property pertinent to probate. He named the townhouse, not the chest, but we both read the subtext. How soon? He asked for 7 days. We'll object on scope and necessity, but assume they'll try something faster off paper. Keep the door locked. If anyone shows up without a court order, you call me before you open your mouth. I look at the door as if it might answer. I'll sleep here tonight. Bring the working set with you to the bedroom, she says. And Ava, I know. Text you if I need sirens. Or if you need coffee, she says, lighter again. See you at 9. When the line goes quiet, the room grows a spine. I return the chest to its spot under the window and sit with it. The way you sit with someone after a surgery you can't see but know was necessary. The house smells faintly of cedar and lemon oil, and beneath both, rain sneaking in whenever the door is open too long. I wash my hands before I touch anything else, not because the objects are fragile, but because ritual turns fear into method. I slip the working folder into my tote and set it beside the couch. The chest shines a little where my sleeve brushed it. Stubborn furniture. Stubborn daughter. Tomorrow, we move from inventory to action. Tonight, I turn off every light but the small lamp by the window and watch the roses hold the last of day like they were carved to keep it safe. Downtown Portland smells like rain pressed through suits. The American Tully building rises 32 stories of glass and practiced confidence. The kind of place where every reflection flatters power. Carla walks beside me until the security desk, then stops. You're sure about this? She asks. I need to see his face when he lies, I say. I won't stay long. She studies me for a beat, then nods. Record if you can. Button cameras live. Her hand brushes my sleeve. The smallest solidarity is sometimes armor enough. I step into the elevator alone. By the 22nd floor, my pulse has found its courtroom tempo. Fast, rhythmic, ready for cross-examination. Jonathan's assistant looks up from her monitor, smile professional and wary. He's in a meeting. He'll see me, I cut in. It concerns the Foster probate. A pause. She knows the surname switch is deliberate. She lifts the phone, murmurs something, listens, and nods. 2 minutes. The office door opens on the scent of expensive coffee and tension. My father stands behind his desk, skyline glowing behind him like a verdict already written. He's thinner than I remember, but arrogance fills the missing weight. Ava. His voice could pass for affection to anyone who doesn't know its math. I'm preparing for deposition. This won't take long. I place a photograph on his desk. Him and Holloway in uniform, arms draped across each other's shoulders. The satellite consoles behind them like stage scenery. For once, he's the one who doesn't immediately speak. His hand hesitates mid-reach, fingers trembling before he catches them still. Where did you get this? Mom kept everything, I say. Notes, photos, journal entries. Operation Lantern. The color drains from his face in a wave so subtle most juries would miss it. I've spent years learning to see what juries miss. He lowers himself into the chair, steepling his fingers. You have no idea what you're playing with. Those were classified assignments. Classified like blackmail? Like ex parte meetings with Judge Holloway? He exhales through his nose, the sound of a man recalculating. Whatever you think you found, context matters. Your mother didn't understand that. She understood enough to record dates, names, and promotions that lined up with illegal surveillance. That lands. His jaw tightens, shoulders rounding inward. I take the chair opposite, leaving the photo between us like evidence tagged and numbered. You're not after her house, I say. Or the money. You're after the chest. He doesn't blink. Silence confirms what language can't. Jonathan, if you file one more motion, I'll submit these to the Judicial Ethics Committee along with Mom's notes. He leans forward, voice lowering. You'd destroy yourself before you touched me. Possession of classified material is a federal offense. You think your bar license protects you from that? I meet his gaze evenly. I think justice does. He laughs once, no humor in it. You sound like her. Do you have any idea what she risked? She was warned to stop digging and she didn't. She nearly ruined us. She saved me, I say. You're the one ruining yourself. He stands, suddenly, pushing the chair back so hard it bumps the credenza. Listen to me. Those documents stay buried. You will drop the case by Friday, or I will petition the court to seize that chest under federal injunction. You'll be facing obstruction, contempt, and probable cause for classified retention. Friday, I repeat, gathering the photo. Perfect. I'll expect your motion in writing. When I turn for the door, his voice follows, quieter, fraying at the edges. Ava, you don't know what you're inviting. I glance back just long enough to answer. Neither did Mom. She still showed up. The elevator ride down feels longer than the climb. My phone vibrates once, Carla's preset buzz. I wait until the doors open to answer. Well? She asks. He flinched at lantern, I say. Confirmed everything without saying a word. You get it recorded? Every second. Good. Send me the file, then go somewhere public for a while. They'll regroup fast. Outside, rain polishes the streets into mirrors. I cross toward Pioneer Square, the crowd's anonymity a relief. Carla's voice steadies in my ear. This changes the game. He'll escalate, maybe with a national security filing. We'll counter with judicial ethics evidence first. Keep Blue Harbor in reserve. Lantern, I correct automatically. Lantern, right. She sighs. He'll call it something else in his pleadings. That's what men like him do. Rename their guilt until it sounds patriotic. I stop beneath an awning, watching traffic hiss by. He gave me a deadline, Friday. Then we spend Thursday building pressure. I'll draft our next motion tonight. Lightning flashes somewhere beyond the river, silent behind the glass towers. My reflection stares back from a puddle. Same eyes as his, but steadier now. For the first time since this began, I'm not waiting for justice to arrive. I'm chasing it. By the time the streetcar sighs past Pioneer Square, my father's deadline has threaded itself through the afternoon like wire. I cut across to 6th, staying under awnings where the rain breaks into beads instead of sheets. The feeling arrives 2 blocks later. Nothing you can photograph, just a ripple under the skin that says you're not alone. A dark sedan idles a half-car length back when I stop at the corner. No plates visible from my angle, windows a shade too black for the legal limit. I test it, step off the curb, then double back as if I've forgotten something. The sedan inches, then stalls, like a dog pretending it wasn't following you. I call Carla. I've got a tail. Location? 6th and Taylor. Dark 4-door tinted to the moon. Keep moving. Meet me at the office. I'll call downstairs to buzz you straight up. I angle toward her building, letting shopfront glass confirm what instinct already knows. The sedan keeps respectful distance, its reflection a smear at my back. Be boring, my trial mentor used to say. Boring is safe. So I'm boring. Walk signals, crosswalks, no sudden turns. Fear becomes choreography. Upstairs, Carla's receptionist doesn't ask questions. She never does. Carla is waiting with a towel and a look. Dry your hair. Your fan club's double parked across the street. We duck into her office and kill the overhead lights. Through the blinds, the sedan sits at the curb, wipers beating a lazy metronome. A figure in the driver's seat checks a phone, then looks nowhere in particular. Carla's voice is low. They'll want you to feel watched. It's cheaper than filing motions. My phone buzzes. Unknown caller. I slide it to speaker. A man's voice, smooth as a courtroom apology. Ms. Merrick, this is a friendly reminder to stop opening old boxes. Identify yourself, I say. We're the reasonable path. Take it. A pause that sounds like a smile. Or keep testing your luck with classified material. I let silence work for me. Carla scribbles on a legal pad. Don't engage. Record only. I end the call without a word and save the audio file twice. Carla exhales. Classic intimidation. Vague enough to deny, pointed enough to chill. It's not working, I say. And then I realize it is. Just not on the surface. Fear is present, but it's organized, like files with tabs. The intercom buzzes. Ms. Vega, the receptionist says. A Renee Dalka for you. She says you're expecting her. 2 minutes later, Renee steps in, folding her umbrella like a bayonet at ease. She glances through the blinds, takes in the sedan, and shuts the door. He escalated after the meeting, didn't he? I nod. Anonymous call. Tail. Friday deadline. Then we accelerate too. She sets a slim folder on Carla's desk. Meet Major Colin Briggs. The man who follows her in wears civilian clothes like a uniform anyway. Early 60s, silver at the temples, spine that doesn't remember slouching. His handshake is brief and exact. Major Briggs served administrative oversight on Lantern, Renee says. He can attest to the existence of the program, the personnel assignments, and the internal verification key. I glance at Carla. She's already pulled a witness affidavit template onto her screen. Briggs sits, forearms on his knees, eyes level. Your mother was the best analyst I ever saw. She believed in rules because rules protect people who don't have power. When the rules were rewritten in the dark, she documented what the dark looked like. My throat tightens. Can you corroborate the journal entries? Dates and names, yes, he says. Operational specifics, no. That crosses lines I won't cross without a court order. But the phrase Winter Lantern, that was our internal confirmation marker for authenticated logs. If it's in her notes, she wasn't guessing. Renee opens the folder. Inside, an unclassified service record noting duty stations, a letter from a retired colonel confirming that Holloway and Jonathan Merrick served as legal advisors on Lantern oversight, and a personal statement drafted in clean, neutral prose. Carla reads fast, pen tapping once. Major, will you sign an affidavit today? Yes. He looks at me. I'll also state that Ms. Merrick's possession of her mother's personal journal is not itself a violation of classification rules, insofar as the document contains no technical specifications or methods and originated in a private capacity. He pauses. It will not stop them from saying otherwise, but it is true. Truth and tactics in the same breath. My mother would approve. Thank you, I say, and mean it with all the oxygen I have. Carla prints the draft, and Briggs signs with the steadiness of someone who has signed things that mattered. Renee signs her own brief, a contextual explanation of Lantern's structure without crossing into classified detail. The intercom chirps again. Ms. Vega, the sedan drove off. Good, Carla mutters. Let them report we're boring. She turns to me. We file Briggs's affidavit under seal with the ethics complaint. No operational details, just relationships and the Winter Lantern key. Parallel, we continue probate filings. If they try the national security gambit, we're on record showing why that's a fig leaf. Renee studies me for a long moment. You should consider moving the originals to a bank box. Not today, not with the tail. Soon. I will, I say. I will, but not yet. The chest has lived too long alone to be abandoned tonight. We leave by the back stairwell. Carla locks the office twice, then deadbolts with a key that looks like it could open a vault. Rain amplifies the alley's loneliness into theater. We cross it anyway. At my car, we choreograph our goodbye like a handoff we've rehearsed. I keep the working set in my tote. Carla keeps the fresh affidavits. Renee gives me a number that doesn't look like hers. Major Briggs nods once, a soldier's benediction. On the drive home, a different sedan takes up station behind me. Blue, not black. Windows legal. Distance casual. Maybe coincidence. Maybe a replacement. I obey the speed limit like it's sacred law and take a long way that's all right turns. When I finally park outside my mother's townhouse, the street is empty, the rain gentler, the porch light a domestic lie. I unlock the door and stand in the threshold, listening. No footsteps, no breath other than mine. I cross to the chest and lay my palm on its lid. We're not done, I tell it. And by we, I mean more people than I ever thought would stand with me. Carla, Renee, Briggs, Joyce at the clerk's office. Anyone who still believes rules are for protection, not performance. Fear is still here, but it has a job now. Keep me focused, keep me careful, keep me moving. Morning breaks without ceremony, just the steady hiss of rain against glass. I barely sleep, half listening for footsteps that never come. By 9, Carla and I are back in her office, stacks of files forming a nervous skyline around the conference table. She paces as she talks. Briggs's affidavit is on file. The ethics submission is sealed. But Leonard's counsel just requested an informal discussion of settlement. Already? I ask. That's fast, even for panic. Carla sets down her mug. When men like your father move this quickly, it's because they're trying to close the valve before pressure reaches the gauge. Meetings at noon. His associate, Derek Sloan, says your father won't attend for personal reasons. Personal reasons. Like self-preservation. At 11:58, we step into the boardroom of Merrick and Tully. It's the kind of space designed to make concessions feel small. Wide windows, water carafes sweating on polished oak, the city skyline like another expensive witness. Sloan greets us with that well-oiled smile lawyers keep for both weddings and funerals. Ms. Merrick, he says. Ms. Vega, thank you for coming. Carla's polite nod could cut glass. Let's get to it. Sloan opens a slim leather folder and slides 2 documents across the table. Mr. Merrick has decided to withdraw all objections to the probate petition. You'll receive the house, the savings, and all assets as stipulated in the will. My breath catches despite myself. That's it? Not quite. He produces a second folder. He requests, in exchange, the transfer of one personal item, the oak chest and its contents. Carla doesn't flinch. On what grounds? Sentimental value, he says smoothly. It belonged to his side of the family. He regrets any earlier hostility. I almost laugh. He regrets discovery, not hostility. Sloan clears his throat. He's also prepared to offer a financial settlement, $200,000 in addition to the inheritance. The number hangs between us like a dropped gavel. Carla folds her arms. $200,000 for an antique chest worth maybe $1,000 on a generous day. Tell me again how this isn't a bribe. Sloan spreads his hands. It's a gesture of closure. The Merrick family has endured enough public tension. I pick up the offer and skim the pages. The fine print reads like it was written by a magician. Clauses looping into each other, every paragraph disappearing into the next. Then I see it, buried mid-page. Non-disclosure agreement. Permanent confidentiality concerning all matters related to the estate, judicial proceedings, and associated correspondence. There it is, I whisper. The real inheritance. Sloan looks uncomfortable. The NDA is standard in high conflict resolutions. Not in probate cases, Carla says, unless there's something to hide. He exhales, frustration slipping through his veneer. Ava, your father wants peace. This would settle everything. You could pay off loans, buy a home, start over. It sounds almost kind. Almost. I slide the document back toward him. Peace doesn't come with a payment plan. Sloane's jaw flexes. This offer expires at 5 p.m. Of course it does, Carla says. Deadlines make silence cheaper. He stands, hands smoothing his tie. You're making a serious mistake. Good, I reply. That means it's mine. Outside, the air feels rinsed but not clean. Carla and I duck beneath an awning. She exhales hard, fogging the glass beside us. 200,000, she says softly. I've seen prosecutors sell grand jury secrets for less. It's not about money, I say. It's leverage. He wants the chest, the journal, the photos. Everything that ties him to Holloway. She nods, rain dripping from her sleeve. Then he knows what's in them, or he knows enough to be afraid. We stop at a light, and I watch reflections slide down the windshield of a passing car. For a heartbeat, I imagine the sedan from yesterday inside that glass, tailing us through its own reflection. Carla touches my arm. You could walk away, Ava. You've already won the estate. Take the victory. Mom didn't raise me to settle with a gag order. Then you'll need to brace for fallout. They'll escalate. I know, I say, but fear's already part of the rhythm. I can live with that. We reach the garage, each step echoing in the damp air. Carla unlocks her car but doesn't get in yet. You realize what you just refused could have erased your debt. I don't want erasure, I say. I want record. She smiles then, small, proud, worried. You sound like her. Good, I answer. That means she's still winning. When I get home, the chest waits under the window, unbothered by deadlines or deals. I rest my hand on its lid, tracing the carved roses. Somewhere in the grain, my mother's code lingers. A reminder that truth, like wood, changes slowly but never forgets the pattern it was carved from. Friday may bring whatever threat my father promised. For now, the silence is mine to keep, and I intend to. The house is quiet, but not peaceful. The kind of quiet that listens back. The settlement papers still sit on my kitchen table, their legal gloss catching the lamplight like bait. I haven't signed them, won't sign them, but I keep them visible, a reminder that the easiest trap is the one labeled resolution. Carla calls just past midnight. You awake? Barely. I ran background on Lantern, she says, voice low, words careful. The name doesn't appear in any public declassification lists, but there's a redacted reference in a 2001 oversight report, an operation shut down after internal review for exceeding authorized scope. Which means it existed, I whisper. It existed, she confirms, and whoever buried it wanted the world to forget. Rain patters harder, as if underlining the sentence. I pace between the kitchen and the window, the chest visible in the living room like a witness that refuses to speak. I scanned more of the journal, I admit. There's a page I didn't notice before. It repeats the phrase winter lantern, but there's a string of numbers after it. Coordinates, maybe, or a cipher. Carla hums. Read them. 47-22-11. Then, Portland. Could be dates, she muses, or reference codes. Bring me photos in the morning, but don't send anything digitally. We keep that analog. Already learning, I say, and she laughs softly. When we hang up, I pull the notebook from the chest again. My mother's handwriting is steady, almost serene, even when the words aren't. The page marked Winter Lantern has tiny indents beside it, like she wrote over something hidden. I angle the light, rub a pencil lightly across the back page. The shadows rise like ghosts. Partial words. Verify. Exposure. Sequence. And beneath them, another line written faintly sideways. Trust only the pattern that repeats. I don't sleep. By morning, fog grips the neighborhood. I brew coffee strong enough to disguise anxiety, and drive to Carla's office. She's already there, sleeves rolled, a digital recorder blinking beside her notes. "Show me," she says. I hand her the notebook. She studies the numbers and hums again. These could align with the code structure from a debrief I once saw. Incident logs by region, maybe. Lantern might have tagged field locations by latitude groups. She flips to the last page. See this stamp impression? It's faint, but it looks military. I lean closer. A circular press of ink nearly erased by time. Letters barely visible. Department of, and a partial intel. My father's shadow feels closer with every letter. Carla sets the notebook down. We treat this as corroboration, nothing more yet. Briggs said he'd cross-check internal registry codes tonight. Renee, too. We'll have confirmation within 24 hours. And then? Then we decide if we expose it or use it as leverage. Exposing feels cleaner. Cleaner, she says, but not safer. At noon, my phone buzzes, a blocked number. I let it ring out, but the voicemail transcribes instantly. "You're walking into classified territory, Ava. You won't like what you find there. Drop the journal and you'll keep your license." I forward it to Carla without opening the audio. Her reply comes in seconds. "Got it logged. Do not respond." I try to focus on case notes for my actual clients, but the words blur into static. When I finally look up, the daylight's gone and the city outside feels hollowed out by mist. That's when I notice it. A figure parked across the street in a sedan. Window cracked. Cigarette ember glowing steady red. Watching. Waiting. I shut the curtains and call Carla again. "They're outside." "Stay calm," she says. "Renee's nearby. She'll swing by. Don't engage." "What if they try the door?" "They won't. Not yet. This is intimidation, not escalation." Her confidence steadies me like a wall behind my spine. I set the phone on speaker and move to the chest. If they're willing to threaten, then whatever's here still matters. I slide the hidden panel again. This time I notice a strip of folded paper wedged deeper in the cavity. A note I must have missed. My mother's handwriting again. "If you read this, the proof you hold is enough to end it. But truth doesn't always need an audience. Sometimes it just needs witnesses. When the lantern burns, do not hide it. Let it show who stands near and who steps back." The words hit like prayer and warning in one breath. A knock startles me. A single tap on the door. Renee's voice. "It's me!" I open it fast. She steps in, shaking rain from her coat. "You weren't imagining it," she says. "He's gone now, but he was watching." I hand her the note. She reads it twice, then folds it carefully. "Your mother knew they'd circle back." "What do we do?" "Exactly what she wanted," Renee says. "We verify the pattern, and when we have proof, we light it." Her tone chills me and steadies me all at once. I glance toward the chest again, the carved roses gleaming faintly in the lamplight. "Winter lantern," I murmur. "What did it mean for you?" "For us?" Renee's smile is faint, almost sad. "It was the phrase we used when the data was authenticated and irreversible. Once that lantern was lit, no one could bury the truth again." The room grows quiet, rain turning into mist against the glass. I realize then that fear isn't absence of control. It's proof that something still matters enough to protect. My mother trusted me to carry what she couldn't finish. Now the light is mine to hold. Tomorrow, the world will start to see what the darkness tried to keep. Courthouse corridors always sound like they're deciding something about you before a judge does. Heels clipping, paper sighing, doors murmuring shut. I'm here on a juvenile arraignment for a client who can't afford for me to be distracted, so I stack my attention like files. Client first, probate second, fear after hours. The hearing runs clean, no surprises, a continuance that actually makes sense, and I'm sliding exhibits back into my bag when I feel a presence stop 2 paces behind me and not breathe. "Ava." The voice is barely there. I turn. Joy Harper, clerk's office, tired eyes, calm hands. The kind of person who knows where the real records live and how to read what they don't say. Joy, everything okay? She looks past me down the hall, then back. Walk with me, she whispers. Not inside, not yet. We take the long loop behind the clerk's window, past framed portraits of retired judges who stare like rules. Joy keeps her file close to her ribs. Halfway to the stairwell, she steers us into a copy alcove that smells like warm toner and old dust, closes the door until it latches. The hum of the machine fills the quiet. I shouldn't be telling you this, she begins, but I think you already know enough to understand why I am. I wait. She opens the file. Inside are entry logs, printed stills from the back chamber's camera, time-stamped. 2 men, separate days, same door. One is my father. The other is Judge Raymond Holloway. Private entrance, Joy says. No docketed conference, no counsel present. Twice in the last 6 weeks. My mouth is dry. That's ex parte. That's why I printed it. She flips to a second stack. Calendar screenshots, the judge's chambers schedule with black blocks where entries should be. Personal, in place of case names. Tucked in the back, a crisp sheet of letterhead, Merrick and Tully, LLP, with a billing memo. Tax strategy consultation, R. Holloway. Dates that overlap the case's pendency. Amounts that would buy a nice car. I shouldn't have access to that, Joy says quickly, reading my shock. But sometimes the wrong attachments go to the right person. A twist of her mouth. Defense counsel circulated an exhibit list last month. Someone embedded the wrong PDF. Does anyone else know? 2 clerks suspect something's off. No one wants to be the first to say it aloud. She meets my eyes. You've already said it, haven't you? Not in those words, I answer, but yes. Joy slides the copies toward me, then stops short, keeping her fingers on the edges. I can't give you originals. I can give you what I saw and where to find it. Chain of custody matters. So does my job. I don't want you fired, I say. I don't want to watch this place forget what it's for, she replies. I lift my phone, camera open. Photos only. You keep the papers. She nods. I photograph each page, logs, calendars, billing memo, slowly, making sure the timestamps and headers are legible. Then I step back, letting the hum of the copier remind us we're still inside the machine. He's going to move to seal something soon, Joy says. I heard his clerk on the phone using the phrase national security posture. They're going to try to hide the mess under a bigger mess. I think of my father's soft deadline, his threat dressed as advice. They're scared, I say. They should be. Joy closes the file and hugs it to her chest. Be careful. Men who live by exceptions don't like being made to follow rules. We leave separately. In the stairwell, I text Carla. Meet in the plaza. Got heat. She replies with a thumbs up and a coffee emoji, which is her way of saying good and dangerous. Outside, rain collects in the courthouse planters like patience. Carla arrives under a broken umbrella, of course, and I give her the photos. She scrolls, jaw tightening by degrees. This is it, she says. Ex parte contact plus undisclosed financial relationship is the ethics equivalent of pulling the fire alarm. Joy can't testify to more than what she saw and where to look, I caution. We have to get the originals via request, not rumor. We will. She's already drafting the motion in her head. I can see the outline moving behind her eyes. We file a motion for recusal and referral to the Judicial Review Board. No mention of Lantern yet. We keep the classified specter out of the room unless they drag it in. Renee calls while we're still under the awning. Briggs checked the registry codes you sent, she says without greeting. The number series after Winter Lantern matches internal log indexing for regional intercept reviews. Your mother wasn't guessing. She was citing. Verified? I ask. Verified, she confirms. No operational detail disclosed, exactly the line we hold. I switch her to speaker. Carla nods along as if she can hear more than the phone offers. Perfect. We can anchor the ethics motion with non-classified evidence and keep the lantern verification in our pocket for the hearing if they try to paint this as fantasy. A shadow moves in the periphery. A man under a hood standing where the plaza drains into the street. Too still for too long. He looks at us and then away. A choreography of not looking that reads as looking. I catalog details like I'm building a case. Height, stance, shoes meant for running, not standing. Carla notices. Ignore, she says softly. Let him report that we're unflappable. Joy thinks they'll push to seal, I add. Then we argue constitutional access and public confidence, Carla says. Open court unless there's genuine classified content, which there isn't. Not in an ethics violation about taxes and secret meetings. Renee? File tonight, she says, and make sure a reporter gets a whiff, not details, just that a recusal motion is coming. Sunlight makes it harder to switch off the lights. I end the call and look at the courthouse doors, heavy with the idea of fairness. My mother used to say you can tell if a room is honest by how the air feels when you tell the truth inside it. I don't know what this room will do when we open our file, but I know what we'll do. We file tonight, I echo. We make it simple. Conflict, contact, consequence. Carla smiles without humor. Methodical justice. The rain eases. The plaza shines. Inside my bag, the photos of time-stamped doors and careless billing lines feel heavier than any classified code. They're not dramatic. They're worse. They're ordinary. And ordinary is exactly what breaks a machine when you put it in the right place. Night folds over Portland like a damp envelope. Thick, heavy, sealing everything inside. Carla's office lights glow across the street from my apartment, a single rectangle of defiance against the city's darkness. By the time I climb the stairs and push her door open, she's surrounded by files and caffeine, hair pinned back with a pen. Please tell me you didn't walk here alone, she says without looking up. Renee dropped me off 2 blocks away, I answer. Different route, no tails. She exhales, relieved but still coiled tight. Good, because this next move crosses from careful to dangerous. Her monitor shows the draft complaint we've built. Judicial misconduct and ethical breach. Judge Raymond Holloway. Attached exhibits, Joy Harper's verified logs, the billing overlap memo, the affidavit from Major Briggs confirming professional ties between Holloway and Jonathan Merrick. Every citation precise. Every claim narrow. Legal chess played with surgical gloves. This is airtight, Carla says, but they'll try to smother it before it breathes. We need a trigger that forces visibility, something public enough to make suppression riskier than exposure. I understand before she says it. The ethics board leak. She nods once. We send an anonymous tip to a journalist who covers judiciary integrity. No documents, no attachments, just enough breadcrumbs to make them start asking questions. If we file and a reporter asks about it the next day, the board can't bury it quietly. Renee arrives 10 minutes later, shaking out her umbrella, her expression carrying equal parts fatigue and purpose. Major Briggs confirmed Lantern's registry codes match the ones in your mother's notes. He won't sign another affidavit unless subpoenaed, but he'll stand by what's filed. Carla taps the screen. That gives us 3 sources and independent corroboration. We file tonight. Renee crosses her arms. Then we leak tonight, too. At midnight, the rain thickens into static. Carla types while I dictate the message line by line. Anonymous tip. The Oregon Judicial Ethics Board may soon receive a formal complaint involving ex parte meetings between Judge Raymond Holloway and attorney Jonathan Merrick. Potential financial conflicts identified. Public confirmation pending. No attachments, no signatures, no traceable metadata. She routes it through a disposable encrypted channel and hits send. That's it, she says softly. The signal's out. Renee nods. Now we wait for the echo. But waiting feels like surrender. I cross to the window, looking down at the slick streets, headlights smearing like wet ink. A city full of stories no one believes until someone risks everything to tell them. Do you think my mother ever wanted it to go this far? I ask. Renee's answer is quiet. She wanted the truth recorded. The rest she left to time. Carla closes her laptop with finality. Time just ran out. She hands me a small key. Safety deposit box. Bank of Cascadia, downtown branch. Tomorrow morning, put the originals there. The notebook, the photos, the letter. We'll keep duplicates for evidence, but the master set goes dark. I slide the key into my pocket, feeling its cold edges against my palm. He'll know we've moved. That's fine, Carla says. Let him chase smoke. By 2 a.m., we split ways. Carla to her car, Renee to a side street where her friend's SUV waits. I walk the last block home under my umbrella, breath visible in the chill. When I reach my townhouse door, a white envelope waits on the mat. No address, no stamp. Just my name in neat block letters. I lock the door behind me before opening it. Inside, a single printed line. You're mistaking survival for integrity. No signature, no smudges. Just the faint scent of cologne I know too well. Jonathan. My pulse slows, not racing, not panicked, just steady and cold. He's letting me know he's still inside the game, still playing by rules he wrote for himself. I fold the note once, twice, and slide it into a zip bag labeled Threat Exhibit A. Evidence is power only if it survives scrutiny. And my mother taught me preparation is armor. I sit at the desk and begin a handwritten log. Date, 2:14 a.m. Envelope found at door. Hand delivered. Content, intimidation attempt. My handwriting doesn't shake. Outside, thunder mutters over the Willamette River. The lantern on my desk, a small metal one I brought from the chest, casts a low gold glow, soft but steady. Renee's words echo, the signal's out. Carla's, time just ran out. And my mother's, when the lantern burns, do not hide it. I close the notebook and whisper to the empty room. It's burning now. The morning of the hearing breaks in hard light, bright, unkind. The kind that exposes rather than warms. I've barely slept, the night looping through what-ifs like static. But my resolve feels sharper for it. Today isn't about inheritance anymore. It's about exposure, about making sure the truth doesn't die quietly. Carla meets me at the courthouse steps, hair pulled back, coat cinched tight. They filed an emergency motion at dawn, she says. Your father's counsel claims the ethics complaint compromised the case's judicial neutrality. They're asking to seal everything, including the probate record. Of course they are, I say. Control the narrative before it breathes. She hands me a folder. Our motion for recusal is ready. Exhibits attached, affidavits in order. Briggs, Renee, and Joy are all on standby if the board calls them. And the press? Already sniffing, I reply. Your leak worked. We pass security, the metal detector whining like it's nervous, too. The courtroom feels smaller than usual, air thick with something between curiosity and dread. Rows of attorneys whisper in polite code. A few reporters linger in the back, notebooks poised. Judge Raymond Holloway enters. His robe seems heavier than before, his face paler. He avoids my gaze as he takes the bench. Court is in session, he intones. We're here on the matter of Merrick v. Estate of Foster and the petitioner's recent motion regarding judicial conduct. Ms. Vega? Carla stands, voice calm, language precise. Your Honor, we respectfully move for your recusal on the grounds of demonstrated conflict of interest, including documented private meetings and undisclosed financial transactions with opposing counsel, Mr. Jonathan Merrick. Holloway's expression tightens. Those are serious accusations, Counselor. They are, she agrees. So are the attached records. She approaches the clerk's table and places the binder gently, as though setting down something radioactive. Exhibit A. Courthouse entry logs confirming unsanctioned meetings. Exhibit B. Internal billing memos from Merrick and Tully documenting payments labeled tax consultation. Exhibit C. Affidavit from Major Colin Briggs verifying historical professional ties between this court and respondent's counsel during the classified operation known as Lantern. That last word slices through the room. Lantern. Holloway's gavel strikes. That term has no relevance here. Carla doesn't flinch. On the contrary, Your Honor, it establishes prior association between you and Mr. Merrick. The operation name is included solely for identification, not for disclosure of content. Murmurs rise. One reporter's pen freezes mid-word. I stand. Your Honor, if you wish to claim national security privilege, the Department of Defense must make that assertion, not this court. Until then, these records fall within ethical review. His eyes snap to mine, rage and panic woven tight. Ms. Merrick, you are walking dangerously close to contempt. With respect, I say, steady, so are you. The silence that follows feels endless, broken only by the hum of the fluorescent lights. Finally, Holloway exhales. The court will recess for 10 minutes. He retreats through the side door, the same one from Joy's security stills. Reporters begin scribbling faster. Carla leans close. He's calling your father, she whispers. Let him, I say. The walls are thinner now. 10 minutes stretch into 30. When Holloway returns, his composure is cracked, but not yet shattered. Having reviewed the petitioner's motion and considering potential appearance of impropriety, he begins, voice stripped of its earlier command. The court grants recusal. This matter will be reassigned to another judge. A sound ripples through the room. Not applause, not surprise. Something between relief and revelation. Holloway's gaze finds me once more. Ms. Merrick, he says, the words brittle. You've inherited more than your mother's persistence. I know, I reply softly. That's why I'm still here. He bangs the gavel once. Court adjourned. Outside, sunlight fights its way through the clouds. Reporters cluster at the steps, microphones flashing like interrogation lights. Carla shields me as we push through. Statement? Someone calls. Was the judge forced out? What's lantern? Carla keeps walking. No comment pending reassignment. Renee and Briggs wait near the fountain, their expressions quiet satisfaction. That's the first domino, Briggs says. They'll scramble now. Holloway's recusal means your father loses his shield. I nod, the adrenaline catching up at last. He'll retaliate. Then we stay ahead, Renee says. Truth has momentum now. Don't lose your pace. Carla grins, tired but fierce. You realize you just made Oregon legal history? I manage a smile. My mother always liked firsts. We reach the steps bottom, the wind lifting my coat. For a moment, I swear I can smell her perfume, citrus and cedar, lingering on the air like memory taking a bow. The lantern has burned through the dark. The next light will come from the ashes. By the time I reach the courthouse plaza, the headlines have already begun. Judge Holloway recuses amid conflict allegations. Merrick and Tully partner under ethical review. The words crawl across every newsfeed like slow-moving fire. What began as my mother's quiet file box has become a story the city can't look away from. Carla meets me at her office, phone glued to her ear, voice sharp with restraint. Yes, we'll issue a statement by end of day. No, we're not commenting on classified matters. Yes, the ethics board will confirm receipt of our complaint. She hangs up, sighs, then grins. You broke containment. Congratulations. I didn't mean for it to go viral. You didn't have to. Corruption sells better than compassion. She gestures toward the window. Reporters are camped outside. Don't open the door without me. On her desk, a printed notice lies face up. Holloway to step aside pending investigation. The paper feels heavier than it looks. He really did it, I whisper. Carla leans back. He didn't have a choice. Between Joy's footage, the billing memos, and Briggs's affidavit, he was cornered. But your father? He's not finished. Almost on cue, my phone buzzes. Unknown number. I answer anyway. Jonathan's voice fills the line, smooth as always, but strained at the edges. You think you've won something, Ava? You've simply exposed a process. The machine will close ranks. I'm counting on it, I say. It's easier to hit a target when it moves together. He exhales through his teeth. You've humiliated a judge and a respected firm. You've destroyed our family name. No, I reply quietly. You did that the day you used it to hide what you were. Silence. Then almost softly, you sound like her. I hope so. He hangs up without another word. The next morning brings the press swarm. Cameras line the courthouse steps, each reporter chasing a fragment of truth wrapped in speculation. Carla shields me as we pass through the flashbulbs, offering her trademark line, "No comment at this stage," until repetition turns it into armor. Inside, the probate ruling is mercifully brief. A new judge, Honorable Esther McKinney, takes the bench. Her demeanor is clear-eyed, unfazed, uninterested in theatrics. After review, she says, the court recognizes the validity of the late Eleanor Foster's testamentary documents and the absence of any legal impediment to execution. The estate is hereby granted to the petitioner, Ava Merrick. Carla squeezes my hand under the table. I nod, steady. It's done. The house, the savings, the chest, all legally mine. But victory doesn't feel like triumph. It feels like a wound finally stitched, still tender under the bandage. Outside, the crowd has doubled. Reporters yell questions about the investigation, about Operation Lantern, about whether my father will face disbarment. I keep my head down, moving through them like fog. Renee and Briggs wait by the curb in a nondescript car. Renee rolls down the window. "Get in," she says. "We have company behind us." I slide into the back seat as Carla joins the front. "What's happening?" Renee's voice stays calm. Federal auditors showed up at Merrick and Tully this morning. Subpoenas for tax irregularities tied to sealed consulting accounts. So it's official. Briggs nods. He's under investigation. Holloway, too. The dominoes are falling faster than anyone expected. Through the windshield, the skyline blurs in the rain. "He'll come after me next," I say. "He already did," Carla says. "That envelope at your door? Intimidation. Empty power move. The story's too public now. He can't touch you without burning himself." Renee glances at me in the rearview mirror. "Your father built his empire on secrecy. You turned it into evidence. That's the difference." I rest my hand against the window, watching raindrops race each other down the glass. It doesn't feel like victory. "It's not," Briggs says. "It's correction." That evening, I drive to my mother's townhouse. The press has moved on to louder scandals. The street feels human again. Inside, the air is thick with dust and lemon polish. I light the small lantern on the windowsill and let it flicker against the walls. For the first time since this began, I open the chest not to search, but to breathe. The journal rests where it belongs. Alongside her medals and letter, I run my fingers over the carved roses, the grain smooth from years of her patience. On the last page of the journal, a final entry I never noticed catches my eye. "If they find you reading this, it means the truth made it through the noise. That's enough. Don't carry my ghosts. Make room for your own light." Tears sting, quick and uninvited. I whisper to the air, "It's done, Mom. You can rest now." The lantern's flame wavers, then steadies, as if answering. Later that night, Carla texts me a link. Oregon Judicial Board launches inquiry into high-profile corruption case. Below it, her message. "You did it. Sleep." I set my phone face down, gaze at the lantern still burning. The world outside feels louder, but the house, our house, finally feels quiet in a way that doesn't hurt. The fall of the House Merrick wasn't explosive. It was deliberate. Piece by piece, truth by truth. And that's how it should be. Slow justice, the kind that lasts. The rain finally stops. Portland smells like fresh asphalt and second chances. I spend the morning at my mother's townhouse, windows open, air moving through rooms that haven't known quiet joy in years. The light feels different, cleaner, deliberate. For the first time since the hearing, I'm not checking the door every few minutes. Carla calls at noon. The board statement just dropped. she says. They've suspended Holloway pending investigation. Your father's firm has initiated an internal audit, and 2 junior partners resigned this morning. Resigned, I repeat, rolling the word on my tongue. That's their version of confession. It's the closest you'll get, she says. And there's something else. A pause. Never a good sign. The state bar reached out. They're requesting your cooperation if formal charges follow. I let out a slow breath. So this isn't over. It's moving, Carla says. That's better than still. I glance at the oak chest. Then let's make sure it ends right. By evening, the house feels less like evidence and more like home. I bring the chest to the kitchen table, spreading its contents carefully. Medals, letters, photographs, my mother's journal, the sealed envelope labeled Winter Lantern. I've read every page a dozen times, but this one, the one she never dated, I've avoided. Tonight, I open it. Ava, if you ever read this, then I've failed to protect you from my past. But maybe that was never my job. Maybe it was to prepare you. Justice doesn't move in straight lines. It circles back through people brave enough to pick up where others stopped. If the system doesn't know how to be clean, teach it how to remember. I trace the ink, my fingers trembling. Her handwriting is calm, certain. Beneath her name, a second line, 5 words written in block letters. Preparation is the purest integrity. It's her version of a signature, her integrity clause. The next day, I meet Carla at the bank. We store the originals in a safe deposit box under both our names. Double custody, no mistakes. Carla signs the log, her pen steady as ever. You realize you're now a custodian of evidence that helped topple a sitting judge, she says. You might want to put that on your resume. I'll settle for breathing room, I reply. Outside, the news vans are gone. The world has moved on, but whispers linger. Online threads, legal blogs, think pieces about whistleblower legacies. None of them know my mother's name. That's how she'd want it. The truth doesn't need fame. It needs permanence. Renee meets us for coffee across from the courthouse. She looks tired but lighter, the kind of tired that comes after purpose, not defeat. Briggs is retiring next month, she says. He told me to thank you. Said your mother's record was the missing piece he'd been waiting 2 decades to see surface. Tell him it was her doing, not mine, I say. Renee smiles. That's what he said you'd say. Weeks pass. Investigations expand. My father disappears from the firm's public roster, his name quietly removed from the masthead. Carla handles the press inquiries that trickle in, firm and factual. When she visits, she brings groceries instead of legal pads. That alone feels like closure. One night, as we sit by the window eating takeout, she glances at the lantern glowing on the sill. So what happens now? You've won, Ava. The case is over. The truth's out. Winning isn't the right word, I say. It's more like inheriting a duty. She leans back. Then what do you plan to do with it? I hesitate, then open my laptop. On the screen, a draft nonprofit charter sits waiting. The name at the top reads, the Ava Merrick Integrity Fund. Carla blinks, then smiles. You're serious? Completely. Legal aid for whistleblowers, victims of judicial misconduct, anyone afraid to fight because the system's bigger than they are. Mom always said preparation is power. I want to make it policy. She raises her coffee cup in salute. To the next Merrick legacy. I clink my cup against hers. To making the system remember. Later, when she's gone, I walk back to the chest. The roses gleam in the lamplight, their carved petals catching shadows like they've learned the art of keeping secrets safe. I rest my palm on the lid and whisper, It's built now, Mom. Your fund. Your light. Through the window, the city flickers, street lamps, offices, courtroom windows left glowing long after hours. For the first time, I don't see darkness fighting light. I see them learning to coexist. The lantern on my sill burns steady, the flame small but unbothered. Somewhere beyond the river, the Merrick name is falling from brass plaques and letterheads, but here, in this room, another name is rising. Ava Merrick, teacher, soldier, truth teller. Her light didn't die. It multiplied. 6 months later, Portland hums under the early summer haze. The rain has finally given up, replaced by sunlight that feels both forgiving and watchful. I walk through the same courthouse plaza where this all began, the echo of old footsteps replaced by children playing around the fountain. The building doesn't feel heavy anymore. It feels smaller, like a stage emptied after a long play. The Oregon Judicial Review Board released its final report last week. Judge Raymond Holloway, permanently disbarred. Jonathan Merrick, referred to the state bar for disciplinary action under federal audit for financial misconduct. It reads as dry as any other legal summary. But to me, it's a requiem written in bureaucratic language. Every line is a weight lifted off my mother's memory. Carla walks beside me, sunglasses hiding the exhaustion that only lawyers who win for the right reasons ever feel. The Integrity Fund's site is live, she says. We've already had 2 inquiries, one from a paralegal who wants to volunteer, another from a whistleblower in Salem. I smile, slow and disbelieving. It's actually happening. You built it, she says. Your mother would have been proud. I think she'd be annoyed it took me this long. Carla laughs, the kind of laugh that finally sounds like release. You realize you're officially your father's opposite now, right? He built walls, you're building doors. Maybe that's what justice looks like when it heals instead of punishes. She checks her watch. I'll meet you at the memorial later. Renee and Briggs are both flying in. I'll be there, I promise. I just need to stop somewhere first. The cemetery sits on a hill overlooking the Willamette River. Quiet, but alive with wind through the trees. I bring a small lantern, the one that lived on my windowsill through every long night of this fight. Inside it, a candle flickers against the glass. I kneel at the headstone, Ava Merrick, 1958 to 2024. Preparation is power. The engraving still makes me smile. Carla insisted it belonged there, said it was both epitaph and instruction. Mom, I begin, voice low. The judge is gone. So is his shadow. Dad's under review, maybe worse, but I didn't come to talk about them. The breeze stirs the edges of the grass, carrying the faint scent of cedar from somewhere down the slope. I rest the lantern at the base of the stone. The fund's running, I say. We've already helped one woman in Salem file against her firm. Renee says it's déjà vu for her. Another lantern lit, she called it. I like that. You'd like it too. A pause. The city hums faintly below. Life moving on, proof that justice doesn't stop the world. It just changes its rhythm. I finally understand you, I whisper. You didn't keep those files because you wanted revenge. You kept them because you trusted truth to find its own audience when the time was right. You didn't prepare for battle. You prepared for inheritance. I close my eyes. For the first time in years, the silence doesn't ache. It breathes. That evening, the Integrity Fund hosts its first official meeting. A rented community hall, 40 chairs, coffee that tastes like optimism and exhaustion. Carla handles the agenda. Renee speaks about ethics and legacy. Briggs, retired now, offers quiet guidance about courage without recklessness. When it's my turn, I stand at the podium with my mother's lantern beside me, its soft glow cutting the overhead light in half. This started as one woman's attempt to be heard, I say. It became a daughter's attempt to finish what she began. But this isn't my story anymore. It's ours. The law is supposed to protect the powerless, not bury them in paperwork and privilege. Every time we shine a light on corruption, we honor everyone who believed truth was worth the risk. Applause swells, quiet but sincere. A few people wipe at their eyes. For a heartbeat, I see my mother in every face. Stubborn, kind, relentless. Afterward, Carla finds me by the door. You did it, she says softly. We did, I correct her. And we're not done. Outside, the sun slides behind the skyline, leaving a glow that turns the glass towers gold. The city reflects it back, 100 tiny flames answering one larger one. I lift the lantern, letting its light mingle with theirs. For the first time in years, I'm not carrying my mother's weight. I'm carrying her legacy. As I walk toward the street, the wind shifts, cool and steady, rushing against the flame without extinguishing it. I smile and whisper into the dusk. I kept it lit, Mom, just like you said. The lantern flickers once, then steadies again, unbothered, enduring. And for the first time, so am I.